Hi there! If you're new here, my name is Kalle and I live in this simple cabin right behind me here in northern Sweden. And today I'm gonna sit down and answer your questions about our simple life out here in the forest. Everything from parenthood here in the cabin, deforestation, and life as a YouTuber when you live a simple life like we do. So the very first question is, how is your life different now when you have a baby? And I would say the short answer is that everything is different. It's very magical in many moments and it's very challenging as well. We both love our little son. He is now about a bit over 2 months, so he's growing so insanely fast, and we're gonna share more about him in the future, but for now we just let him be. Mom is, Christine, so to speak, is taking care of him for the most. We eat breakfast every day together, then I'm focusing here in the cabin, building and renovating, working with YouTube and so on. And then we have dinner together in the evening. But I do very much love to be a dad, and I'm very much looking forward to him growing a bit older so he can be a bit more active running around and I can be more of the dad figure I want to be. But for now, it's just focusing on nurturing and making a very safe and healthy environment for him. Have you noticed any difference in the quality of the pond water now when there's extra water? When we drilled our well here, just behind the camera here, we had to make an extra ditch basically all the way down to the pond because we got something called, or we found something called artesian water. It's basically a stream or water source underneath the ground, and when we hit that spot, it just kept flooding up, which was a major issue when it happened. But now I understand how good of a resource it actually is. So the ditch is now going from the new well under here basically and then into the pond, which was a very good thing because if we didn't have the pond, I have no idea where we should have put the water or directed it. But now it's going straight into the pond. And I have a clip that I want to show you what it looked like before and now what it looks like after. All the water used to come from the mountain, like be dragged through the roots and stones and gravel and stuff and have kind of a brown reddish tint to it, but now it's almost like a turquoise color to it. So this is what the pond looked like before the artesian water started flooding into the pond, and this is what it looks like after. Can you see the color difference? I hope it's visible on screen as well. So the water is coming out here, you can see it's flowing a bit. And one major difference I would like to ask you guys, maybe if someone knows, besides the actual color of the pond, this has also happened. This green moss kind of an algae thing that I've never seen in the pond before. And it's this like long stripy thing. So that's all the way here and then also down here. It's just growing and growing and growing. I don't know if you're gonna see this properly. Can you see it? So it's right now it's in this corner right here and a bit out there and up there where we stood before. So if you have any idea what it could be, I would I would love to know. What's the next big project at the cabin after the water is sorted? The pump house is built and installed and the water is now running from a tap outside of the cabin. But the next big project that we're working on right now actually and have completed the majority of the project, I think we're 90% done, is completely renovating our kitchen. So I've torn out the old kitchen completely. The only thing that was left was walls, ceiling, floor and wood stove. Everything has been cleaned out and we have built a completely brand new kitchen. So it looks very different today, and I've recorded the whole process and I've released a video on my Patreon showing you the whole behind the scenes of that project. It's not completely done yet, but it's getting very close to done. Next week I'm getting the electrician here to pull to the new oven. Yes, we're gonna have an actual oven in the cabin. First time for everything. And then we're gonna have the basically only thing we're missing in the cabin now is like the, what do you call it? We call it bänkskiva in Swedish, like the countertop, maybe you call it. That's coming in 1 week. But if you want to see the project that we've done so far, like 90% of the kitchen is already done, as I said, That's on Patreon if you want to go and check it out. I can highly recommend it. How are the dogs around the new baby? And I would say they are extremely calm and chill. And I haven't noticed that much of a difference, if I have to be completely honest. They can easily lay very, very close to him. But we don't let them sleep in the bed, the dogs, anymore, because we have our son in the bed in between us, or Christina has him on her chest all night long. So we don't let the dogs be in the bed like they used to be. So they're a bit pissed off about that, I would say. But otherwise, they're very good. How do you handle the never-ending light season? Yeah, it's basically daylight 24/7 right now. This is right now 7:30 in the evening, and the sun is still very much up on the sky. We have now done the turning point, so it's getting a bit darker for every day going forward, but it's still at midnight. It feels like midday, basically. So it's a bit challenging for me to go to sleep because I like it cold and really dark. And now in the summer, it's daylight all the time, and it's extremely warm, especially on the in the bedroom of the cabin. We've insulated so well now, so it's so like a sauna up there, and if we open it up too much, we get too much mosquitoes. But we have like mosquito nets, and then I cover with a big dark blanket in the evening, so I get it as dark as I can at least. But it's very confusing. When you wake up in the middle of the night, you have no idea if it's 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. It could be anything. So yeah, it's a bit challenging, but I really have to say that after such a long winter in this harsh climate, it's amazing to feel this light. It's amazing to have all these green colors, run around barefoot. Yeah, I truly love summer, and that's the only dislike I have about living this far north, that the winter season is a bit too long. It starts, in November and ends in April, May. So it's a very, very long season. Of course, it's not as harsh all the time during those months, but it's still a very long time. Luckily, Christine is from Denmark, as you probably know. So we escape there a few months a year. We're probably going to do this fall as well, just to prolong the summer a bit and not get full depression on when the winter finally comes. We do love the winter season as well, especially sleeping in the winter season. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that comes alive within me during the summer months that's not as alive during the winter. Next question is, are you planning to do more gardening? Yes. Oh yes. My plans are endless. The amount of time and money I have is a bit more limited. But as you can see here, the garden is growing really fast, and I would like to have more space, or I have space, but I need to build it out a bit more. And I would love to build a greenhouse. Probably not going to be this year because we don't have enough money for it. But I would love to have a proper greenhouse just down here between the big trees. That would be so beautiful, and a perfectly good spot because it has sunlight all day around, I would say. So a greenhouse, we can grow a bit more other things than we have in the boxes right now, but everything that is growing here is growing fast as crazy. And I don't like it. I love the feeling of cooking a meal in the cabin and then realizing, oh, I'm missing this thing. No, wait, I have that in the garden, and just being able to pick that up. Or just go down here in the evening and pick some fresh strawberries and have it mixed with a bit of milk and sugar and just sit and eat it in the evening. For me, it's very much a freedom feeling to be able to grow your own food, even though it's right now mostly spices and so on, and some edible things. But plants are many, we just need a bit more time and money. How do you manage ticks in the woods? Any natural remedies? Well, the honest answer is that we don't have ticks. It's too far north. I've lived here for 6 years now or something, and I've seen one tick so far, and I'm not even sure if it was from here. I think we visited a bit south and then brought it back here. So I think that's one of the favorite things I have when it comes to nature up here, is there's no ticks. We have an enormous amount of mosquitoes, absolutely, but I would rather have a ton of mosquitoes than ticks, since we have 2 dogs and we're gonna have a sun running around all over all this area. So I would rather have mosquitoes than the ticks, because I hate ticks. So yeah. But to answer another question, how do you deal with all the mosquitoes? And the honest answer is I think that I'm getting more and more used to it. So today I don't see it as a problem. There is a lot of mosquitoes, yes. But after a while you kind of learn to live with it almost. Almost. I had a driver from DHL that delivered a big package here a few days ago. And he stood with shorts and t-shirt. I was standing next to him. He was like... full on panic. He was like, how do you do this? Like, I can't stand it. And I couldn't even notice they were on me. But I also know that they're drawn to certain kinds of people. Not that there was something wrong with the delivery guy, but I think it has something to do with blood types. And I think my blood type must be a bit unattractive to the mosquitoes then, because I don't have such a big problem. Next question is, how do you find time to sleep, eat, etc. with all of these projects that you're doing? I don't. I sleep very little. I work okay on quite little sleep, and now we sleep way less when our son is here as well. So I think I've just gotten used to not sleeping so well, which is not very good and healthy in the long run, I guess. But like I talked about many times before, I prioritize my own health sometimes a bit after getting projects done. I can almost become manic when I'm going into something really hardcore like that. And I very often skip meals like lunch, not dinner specifically, but lunch I can often skip. Like, I can take an early dinner instead or something, which usually ends up being a very late dinner. Me and my friend Andreas joke a lot about that he says that he has, when he has had breakfast and lunch, I may be starting on breakfast, or when he's saying goodnight to me, it sounded like we have like late night conversation and saying goodnight to each other each night. we don't. We're very close friends, but not that close. But when we're sitting up, both of us working or just talking in general, and when he's going to bed and saying goodnight, I'm usually like joking like, good night. I'm about to make dinner, and I'm literally standing next to the stove at like 10:30 making dinner. So sleeping and eating is a bit pushed to the side when it comes to projects. Why did you decide to be reserved about sharing details about the baby, despite being so open about miscarriages? Yes, we did several videos about miscarriages, or at least I did one and Christine did one. But the reason we haven't told about the baby and that whole experience and haven't shared any images and stuff of him yet is because we don't feel comfortable with it yet. It's still very brand new. We don't know how to handle having a baby and YouTube, and it was the very traumatic experience going through the birth. It got very complicated. So we're not exactly sure how much we want to share. So we just need to sit with that for a while and see what we want to do with it, if we want to share it at all. I think it will be a good thing to share because I think some people might learn from it, and I hope, that's my hope at least. That's the whole point of posting something like that, like the miscarriage videos as well, because after we posted those, so many people reached out. Everything from strangers to people I haven't talked to in like 14 years, explaining they have been through the same thing. So I think it could be healthy to post something like that for people to recognize themselves in the material. But it's also so extremely private, especially for Christine. It's her body, so she's gonna decide if we share it and when. Next question is, what language are you and Christine communicating in, and what language are your son gonna speak? Christine and I mostly, to maybe 80%, talk English to each other because that's how we started out. Our first phone conversation was, I told her like, let's try Swedish and Danish and see how it goes. And she spoke one sentence in Danish, and I said, you know what, let's do it in English because this is impossible to understand. Now I understand her fluently, but we just have always spoken in English, so it feels very natural to continue that way. But our son is going to speak both Swedish and Danish and English one day, but we're going to focus on that I'm speaking Swedish to him and Christine is talking Danish to him, so he has both languages. The next one is a bit deeper, I would say. What is your biggest regret in life? And for me, that would be not choosing this lifestyle sooner, because I wanted something like this very early on, but I was so scared to like, okay, how do I make friends out here? How do I earn money? How do I make this lifestyle sustainable? I like the idea of it, but I had no idea how to do it. So I think going for it sooner than I did. That's my biggest regret. Not spending more time here. But I'm not the one to like dwell on what I didn't do. I'm more looking forward and seeing like I'm happy for the life I do have right now, and in the sense I don't have any regrets. But if I should point out one, that would be it. And I would highly recommend you to do the same, to not wait too long. It's so cheesy, but life is too short. You can't just wait for like, oh, one day, or when I'm retired I'm gonna do this. No, you're gonna do it now. It's gonna be too late otherwise. The next one is a bit of a lighter subject. What did you do for midsummer? Well, me and Christine and our son went to our friend's house, Nicole and Niklas, and we celebrated midsummer with, I think we were 10 or 12 people, and we were 25 dogs in total. Yeah, let that sink in. 25. We came with our 2, and then there was another couple that had like 1 or 2, and then one girl had 8. Nicole has, I've lost count by this point, 14, 15. It was a lot of dogs. But we celebrated it very slow. We just had a chill day. Made some flower krans. I don't know what you call that in English. We basically just ate food and snacks for a whole day, and it was amazing. And I'm gonna share some clips of that midsummer celebration in my next video. The next one is hardest, most fun, and most rewarding project. Hardest. The first thing that comes to mind, at least, was when we did the roof, insulated that. For some reason we did it in the middle of the winter. It was extremely challenging. I cried a lot, cursed a lot. It was a very, very challenging time. So that's the hardest one. The most fun one would be the A-frame, I think. That is still not done. Again, I have to find the money to complete it, but it got halted because of reasons I can't really control. And most rewarding project would be, I think, the kitchen we're doing right now. And that is connected to getting running water as well, because the kitchen looks so amazing. I'm so proud of it. But just, it's going to be such a rewarding feeling when I someday, or just like, next week, I'm going to be able to go into our new kitchen and turn the tap on and have running water in the kitchen. That is something I never thought I would be able to have here in the cabin. So that's easily the most rewarding project. And now to a quick question. What kind of hat are you always wearing? And yes, I'm basically always wearing it. In the winter I switch to a more warmer wool hat. But this one is almost always on me. It's from a brand called Brixton, and the model is Fiddler Cap, I think. Not sponsored, but Brixton, if you're watching, reach out. Next question is, what is the name of your son? This is a question we've been spammed with on Instagram and YouTube, and I completely get it. But we've chosen not to publicly go out with his name yet. We have actually decided on his name way before he was even born, when we figured out it was going to be a boy. So we have a name, we love it, but we're going to share it sometime in the future. We're not sure when. Next one is, can you give any advice on how to leave the corporate world and make money more meaningfully? Well, I can only give a recommendation based on what I've done. When I was standing in a store in Stockholm, the main capital of Sweden, I couldn't just leave everything, drop everything, and just go to the cabin and start earning money immediately. What I did was I started a blog back then. I started writing about the life I wanted. I shared my stories. I had a Swedish podcast. So I kind of overlapped my boring work with fun work, and then step by step I more switched over to the fun stuff. And I think when it comes to earning money meaningfully, for me it has been to have very different kinds of income. I have YouTube, I have sponsors, I have my lovely supporters on Patreon. I'm right now working on a cookbook, and I'm still selling my ebook. I'm selling like a few copies a week, which earning me a bit of money. You can find the link down in the description if you want to check it out. I think it's over 700 people that have bought it now, which is kind of amazing. So I'm liking the idea of having different sources of income, because I would get insanely bored if I just only did YouTube, or if I only wrote ebooks, or if I only did lectures like I do sometimes. So the key for me was to have different sources of income, and in that way I could make it fun and meaningful. Okay, mosquito break. Next one is, does Christine like the way you smell now after the baby has been born? Me and Christine did a Q&A some months ago. Still a big project, but
I scared. Oj.
I accidentally ate some small pieces of onions yesterday, and the pregnancy smell.
Don't speak over here.
I have to point my head this way. She's still very sensitive to smells in general, like perfume or different things, garlic. But I don't think she thinks I'm smelling anymore in the same sense, because back then I couldn't even be in the same room as her if I've eaten onions, and people laughed a lot about that. So I don't think I'm smelling equally, but I don't think she's picking it up as much as she used to do. This next question is from a guy that actually came to one of my events. He asked, I hear a lot about deforestation in Sweden. Has it calmed down recently around Sollefteå or in general in the north? And I would say absolutely not. We have a major issue of companies cutting down, in my opinion, way too much forest. And they're doing something called clear cutting, where they're not going in selecting different trees. They're just like plowing just acres after acres, leaving... Yeah, it's completely screwing over the whole ecosystem in the forest, which I'm very sad about, because these days there's only 10% original forest left in Sweden, which is extremely sad. These companies always have like these super flashy, very environmentally friendly websites, like, we care for the forest, we care for nature. It looks amazing on their website, but in real life it's complete bullshit, if I had to be honest. You go in there and they've completely destroyed it. And it's something I'm genuinely terrified of living here, because we don't own all the forest around us here. We own 2 hectare, as we say in Swedish, 20,000 square meters. So we own a big lot. But if they decide to come here and cut down the forest, they have, in their opinion, all the rights to do so. I don't agree with it, but there's not that much you can do. But one thing you can do if you figure out that they're going to cut it down is to go out there and look for endangered species, different plants. And if you find those, they don't have the right to cut down the forest anymore. So if I find out that they're gonna cut it down close to the cabin, I'm gonna go on a very detailed hunt for very extinct plants and animals. Next question is, when are you going to have more information about your next subscriber event? Well, I have some very good news about that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I've had 2 subscriber events, which means that I invite you guys, my followers, to come here to the north of Sweden to experience our lifestyle, basically. We're going to spend 4 days together, do a lot of fun activities, and just have a really good and fun time together. Eat a lot of good food as well. We have done this twice. We did a summer event last year, we did a winter event this year, and now we're doing a fall event. But it's only 30 spots available, and the sign-up deadline is in 2 days from when I'm posting this video. So early July. So if you want to get a spot, if you want to get more information, there's a link down in the description so you can check it out, and let me know if you have any questions about it whatsoever. Next question is a bit more work related. Did you ever question if the path of YouTube was the right choice? Yes, I guess so. I've always been interested in filmmaking. I was on YouTube very early, like watching YouTube. I didn't post early on. But I love the concept of YouTube. I love sharing these videos with you guys, and also have it for the future as like a digital diary, I guess. Kind of cool to show all these projects we've been doing for our son, if you want to watch them someday. But yeah, I sometimes think about YouTube in general, because we're sharing basically our whole lives on here, and it can get very private and very personal, and it can feel very naked sometimes to share so much of your life. But you're also in this kind of difficult situation of, if you don't share your life in the way we're doing, since that's what this channel is based on, our life in the cabin, in the forest, in what's happening in our lives. And we've been always very honest and not try to sugarcoat anything. But the problem with that is also that everyone knows so much about you. And it's absolutely up to us what we share, but sometimes you don't really think about what you're sharing, and you go over from being just personal to maybe private, and you don't think about that you have like 300,000 people subscribed to your channel. And then you maybe meet someone in the town where we live nearest to, Sollefteå, and they're like, oh, we thought about this and we heard about this. And it can feel very naked somehow. Because when I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I just have a camera in the room, I'm completely alone. It's a bit hard for me to grasp that it's so many people watching sometimes. So one day I'm gonna quit YouTube because I wanna be a bit more private. But not for now. I love YouTube and I love the community here. I love posting these videos and creating these stories. But yeah, I think I've always okay, let's put it like this. I think no matter what kind of job you're having, you're always questioning the path you've been choosing, or at least oh, what if I done this instead? What if I done that? But all the choices I've made in life have made me end up in this place right here where I'm very happy. So even if I can question it at times, I'm very, very happy that I chose YouTube and do this filmmaking and share so much of myself, because I hope these stories that we're sharing can be a lesson to someone maybe, or just brighten someone's day, or that someone can just recognize themselves in what we say and what we do. What challenges are you facing in life right now? I would say it is trying to find a balance of being a good boyfriend, being a good dad, being self-employed, renovating all of this, and also trying to find some mean time in all of that. I find it very hard to balance all of those things at the same time. And I know most people have that issue as well. But it's very hard for me to carve out time for all of those things so it's equal for everyone. Are you planning on traveling in the upcoming years? Places you would love to visit? Me and Christine have talked a lot about the road tripping to Norway. Because I visited Norway several times and she has visited Norway many times as well. But we have some spots her and I have never visited before, some certain spots like Lofoten or other more non-touristy places. So that's one thing and dream we would like to do. It's another country, I guess, but I think that's highest on our bucket list because of the nature in Norway is quite more dramatic than it is here in Sweden. We have also talked about that we would like a contrast to that as well, like go to Bali or something, like they get this very tropical and extreme heat and completely different environment. But I feel like that's a very far thing in the future, because I would rather just rent a van for a summer, so me, Christine and our son can just take a road trip up to Norway and we don't have to plan it so much. How much more modernizing are you planning for your cabin now that you have a family? And I think the answer to that is getting up to a normal house standard, but still have simple cabin look and simple cabin solutions in some ways. Because now we're gonna get running water in the kitchen, and we have a proper bedroom, we had a perfectly good living room, but the only thing that we're missing right now is a bathroom and a future bedroom for our son as well, so he can have his own space. But that's, far in the future. But I think if we're smart about it, we're gonna build his room and the bathroom at the same time, so we don't have to do it in steps. But it's a major cost, and I think and I hope maybe we can do it next year, but we'll see. But I think in the way of modernizing quite a lot, if I compare it to when I moved in here. When I moved in here, there was no insulation in the roof. There was very untrustworthy electricity. There was absolutely no running water like we have now. So what we have today, I think, is complete luxury, and it's just gonna keep growing and keep getting more modern. But it's still gonna be modern in the sense of living in the forest. I still want to keep the vibe that we have out here. I don't want to have this like super flashy solutions. I still want to have the vibe of why I bought this place and why I want to live here. So I don't want to lose that, but I want to have some more comfortable things. I don't have to struggle so much now when we have a family, because it is a major difference from when I lived here alone to now having, Christine living here. We have 2 dogs and now a son. So it's a major difference, and we have to adjust life and the cabin after that. How did you select the location and features of your cabin? Well, I always talk about that me ending up in this specific spot was very random. I've been searching for log cabins in Sweden for a very long time, but I had some certain requirements. I wanted to be in the middle of the forest. I wanted to be near water, and we have a pond right here, and we also have a lake just like 200-300 meters that way. I wanted absolutely no neighbors. We have no neighbors in the sense of there's no permanent people living like close by. We have to walk around maybe 15 minutes or something to get to the closest permanent residency. But we have summer guests that live down that way. If I really squint my eyes, I can see the roof of their building. And they're actually here right now. Which, if I have to be completely honest, it's quite annoying. I like it very, very quiet. It's nothing wrong with them. But sometimes in the evening when I just want to relax and be out here in nature, it's a bit annoying when I can hear their music or talk very loudly. But again, it's their space as well. But luckily, they're only here a very few times a year. So, yeah. But I'm very happy there's not more people, at least. Even though I want people to discover this area, I don't want them to discover exactly where we're living. They can easily go a bit further away if I can choose. But I found the cabin randomly online one day on a site called Blocket in Sweden. It's a sell and buy kind of a thing. So I ended up sitting on a train from my mom's birthday, actually, and just scrolling that site. And then this place showed up. I wanted an old log cabin. I wanted 2 stories. Yeah, and then I just sent the link to my dad. He loved it. So him and I went here the next day and bought it that very same day. So from finding it online to shaking the guy's hands that used to own it to actually buying it was like 30 hours. So it was a very quick deal. And then it was a whole struggle of getting bank loans and figuring out all the paperwork. That took months and it was very tricky. But now it's mine. Any plans for new podcast episodes? Yes. Again, there's a lot of plans, but not enough time. Since I'm both scheduling all the podcast episodes, I'm recording them myself, editing myself, promoting them myself, and I'm not earning any money on that right now. And of course, money is not the most important factor, but now when I'm lacking money and trying to find money to pay for all these projects and also pay for the bills and everything, it's very hard, or it's impossible for me to prioritize something right now that doesn't earn me money. But I have an idea on how to do it this fall. Batch record a few episodes that I can spread out for a few months and actually take in an editor to just at least edit the episode, so I can just focus on the fun part, which is the conversation. And if you haven't heard my podcast before, it's called My True North. It's where I interview people that live and have chosen a different path in life. Not exactly necessarily like we live at all. Very different kind of interviews. But I think you're going to like them. You can find them on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're finding your podcast. There will be. But yes, I have many plans for new episodes. I just have to find the time. Next question is, if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do with it? I think the first thing is I would call a bunch of carpenters and plumbers and electricians and just okay, let's finish this bathroom. That's step 1 for me, easily, because that will mean that we can live together, all 3 of us, me, Christine, and our son. I think that would be step 1. Step 2 would be to send some money to my mom and sister so they can pay off loans or whatever. And my mom can actually fully retire on a really good retirement, so to speak. We'll probably do the same to my grandma and some other people and friends. Because when we're done with the renovation, the big renovations here, I don't feel like I have the need for such a high stack of money, that I would rather share it with other people. This next question is quite interesting. Do you wish more people could shift to your lifestyle? And why do you think it's becoming less interesting to the modern generations? I don't know if it's becoming less interesting since channels like mine are becoming very popular, or has been for quite a while. So I don't think it's becoming less popular. I think it's quite the opposite, viewed from my perspective at least. Why do you wish more people could shift? I would wish that more people could be and have an understanding or discover the thing that I have done, or Christine has done as well, or other people living like us, that there's more to life than just working for someone else. There's more to life than eating just food from the stores. Yeah, living this norm that you're told that you're supposed to live. So I think I would love for people to discover that there are other options out there. But I know this lifestyle is not for everyone, but I want them to at least experience it. And that's why I have my subscribers event and try to do these videos as much with so much knowledge and inspiration I can share as possible. Because that's what I would have liked to see in these videos myself when I tried to search for these kind of people when I moved here from the first place. I don't think you necessarily need to move to a place or a lifestyle like we have, but I can recommend you try it at least. Because my whole lifestyle like I live right now started out at me trying something. And then I ended up living here, and I had no idea I should or would do that one day, but I'm very happy I took the step to at least try it. Next one is, are you and your family living full-time in your cabin together? No, not right now. I'm here from morning to evening basically, or afternoon at least. So I'm sleeping half time in the cabin and then half time in Christina's parents' summer house that is about half an hour walk from here, or 5 minutes in the car. So Christine is living there full time with our son right now, taking care of him. So they have a bathroom, running water, all the comfortable things that you actually need, or she wants to have at least when she has a baby to take care of, because that's such a time-consuming job, and I have all the respect in the world for her doing that right now, so she can take care of our son, make him healthy and good and happy, while I'm here during the days renovating, fixing, working, and doing so on. But our goal is, of course, to live here, all of us, one day permanently, but we need at least a bathroom to be able to do so. But yeah, right now we're split up during the days, which is very sad. So I miss spending like just off time with my family, like, you know, taking the lunch together, for instance, or just running around the garden playing with the dogs or so on. But I know it's limited time that we're gonna be split up like this. And again, they're living very nearby, so it's not like a long distance relationship exactly. But it is a tough thing, because you are a team as parents and as partners, but it is a bit challenging when you're split up in two places. But one day we're gonna get there, and I hope it's very soon. Next question is, doesn't it feel isolating sometimes? Yes, it does, but that's kind of the whole point why I moved here. I wanted to be more left alone from society and other people. I wanted to have like a close family like Christine and our son. I wanted to have our dogs, and I never feel isolated in a negative way of looking at it. I feel sometimes lonely because I miss my childhood family and childhood friends, my mom and sister, and my old childhood friends. I miss them because they live 6 or 7 hours away from here, and Christine misses her family and they live like 16 hours away from here. So yeah, it can be isolating in that way that we're missing people, but I love living with no neighbors, completely quiet, 24/7 basically. Or it's not quiet. We hear the stream is quite powerful. We have birds singing all the time, so it's never ever quiet, which is kind of the whole point. But it's filled with the sounds I want to hear and I need to hear. So no, not isolating, just very, very rewarding and comforting to be this alone actually. Because I think there's a big difference of being alone versus lonely. And I can still feel lonely, absolutely. But I am okay with being alone, because I think it's a strength being able to be comfortable being alone. What are some simple tricks to make one's videos look more professional and cinematic? I would say it comes down to how you handle composition in the pictures or in the videos or the clips. Most people, when they are starting out, they film everything from the same distance or in the same kind of mood. So I would recommend you to switch up these 3 different distances to the object that you're filming. So say if you, for instance, if I would film, I'm making a cup of tea here in the cabin. The first shot would be an establishing shot, showing the audience where you are. A wide shot, like the whole cabin and everything in the nature, maybe even a drone shot. And then maybe a medium shot of me in the kitchen, a bit more close-up. And then an actual close-up of just maybe the teacup and me pouring in the water. And then you switch between all of those, like wide shot, medium, and close-up. That would be my first recommendation. And also play with what we call foreground. So instead of just having the object clear as day in the picture, have something that is kind of disrupting the picture in the foreground, a bit blurry. If you just Google foreground, you will see what I mean. Next one is, what has surprised you the most about fatherhood? I think it will be that having a love for someone that you basically just met. He's 2 months old, and for the first time in my life, I feel like someone else is a higher priority than myself. I feel like I, for the first time, have a reason for everything I'm doing. Does that make sense? Like, why am I earning money? Why am I struggling and fighting so hard for these projects in the cabin? Well, that's for having a very healthy and happy family, and he has ignited that within me. Of course, Christine gives me that life purpose as well, but it became even stronger when we did it together now as parents. So that has surprised me, because I got warned, or not warned, but I got told at least by some friends that are also dads that I would not feel, or they told me like this: don't expect to feel this like Hollywood love when he comes out and everything. And I absolutely didn't. I got handed this purple little creature, and it was a very chaotic experience. So no, I didn't feel love at all in the beginning. I felt it was a very cool experience, but it wasn't this like, oh my God, he is here, he's love of my life. No. That came later and built up during time. But I was surprised now how I can feel so much for this little guy that had just been in my life for 2 months. At least outside of Christine's body. He's been in my life longer than that, but you know what I mean. So I'm surprised over how much love you can feel for this little creature. Do you remember the kitchen video I mentioned earlier? That is now live on my Patreon, and that's a video I'm never gonna share on YouTube. That's only for Patreon. So if you want to see the kitchen renovation as it is right now, like 90% done, you can head over to Patreon. It's a link down in the description, and that's also an amazing and easy way to support us and here in the forest for us to be able to do these projects. And you also get a ton of bonus material, and those kind of videos on Patreon are actually way more personal and raw. So if you want to see more of my videos, head over to Patreon. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.